Vision News. Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. And I missed you guys last week. Sorry, I was kind of on air and off air, had some things to take care of, and then I wasn't feeling too great on Friday. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the day and just rest. So I did. And with that, let's get into our Kids Corner.
His ruined sandcastle taught him the power of never giving up. You won't believe what happens next. He felt sad when the waves washed away his castle, but he didn't give up. He learned that mistakes are just a step. To try again, he started building again, stronger and better than before. Every mistake helped him make a taller, stronger castle. Suddenly, a bigger wave came. This time, he didn't cry. He smiled and thought, I can try again. Resilience is believing in yourself. He tried again and again. Each time his castle grew taller and stronger. Little by little, he understood patience and courage. Finally, he built the most beautiful castle. It stood strong even when the waves came. His hard work and hope paid off. This teaches us, no matter how many times you fail, keep trying. Mistakes are steps to success. Be patient, be brave, be resilient.
Yes, be patient, be brave, and be resilient. And thank you, everybody, for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And Spud McKenzie, thank you so much for joining me here this morning. I know you were there on Friday, and I'm so sorry that I did not air live on Friday again. Like I said, I just wasn't feeling 100%. And I was like, I just need to rest today. So again, that's what I did. And with that, let's get into honoring God with our bodies. So God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. Help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect my ears and help me listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. And God, please protect my reproductive organs and help me to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect my feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And that is something that we say here every morning on Unfiltered Vision News. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us here. And with that, we're going to get into some of our trending topics. 1X. We're going to start with the first one, which is it's I guess it's an old Kamala Harris inflation clip that draws fresh criticism. So the resurfaced November 2021 video shows Harris describing inflation's daily stress on households without outlining specific fixes, prompting harsh backlash from figures like Dinesh D'Souza and Adam Carolla, who called it rambling and low IQ. It gained traction alongside a recent clip of her April 10th, 2026 speech at Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network convention, where she urged Black voters to demand tangible results from politicians. Critics highlighted previous hypocrisy given past attacks on similar demands, while the timing reflects ongoing scrutiny as former VP Harris considers a 2028 presidential run amid cooled inflation under President Trump. Now, when I look at that, it's like, unfortunately, inflation is inflation and people are feeling it, right? It says cooled inflation, but it didn't say that there wasn't any. I'm just saying, words matter. Words matter. Everybody's feeling this. And the bottom line is we have more people here on the soil than we need. They're here illegally. They're taking up resources. They are. It is what it is. And we need to get a handle on our border. Now, a lot of people will say, well, it's always when times are bad, minorities and immigration is blamed, right? That's where everybody goes to. But it's a little bit deeper than that, in my opinion. We have the super rich who are literally corralling everyone. And when I say I'm talking about, your billion and trillionaires, right? They're trying to consolidate power right now through economic means, right? Through the food, through the water, through the gas. You know what I'm saying? And making it so where you're forced to live a certain way. And the fallout of that is, you know, people want to say, well, it's this minority's fault, or it's the fault of immigration. It's a combination. It's a perfect soup of everything. But right now, we really need to, you know, focus on doing what's right. If you are not here legally, leave or get your naturalization. It's really that simple. And if you cannot be naturalized, then you need to go back to your home country and you need to build up your home country. And to me, there's no fault in that. Now, some people might say, well, these people can't build up in their home country. Well, that's not my fault nor my problem. And that's where I stand. You came over here the wrong way when you had 300 over 300 legal ports of entry. So the question is, and in your desperation, you're still going to be here breaking the law? There has to be a point where we say no more. Okay. And that does not mean amnesty. And we'll get to that. So let's check out this video that has resurfaced. I remember this. Okay.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
Okay. So that happened. Just saying. That did happen. Now, let me find this is the new video that everyone is talking about. And the caption is, so now Kamala Harris says it's okay for Black Americans to ask for something specifically for Black Americans only in return for our votes. Did she tell the Democrats that? Now, here's the funny part about that. If everybody also remembers, there's a video where she said, well, I can't just do something for just Black Americans, right? And I think for people that supported her, they were saying it can't just be done for us specifically, it has to be done for everybody. Now she's saying, okay, Black people, now it's okay for you to ask for something. It's really interesting how Democrats feel like they can just control Black people. Okay, and Black people, now it's okay for you to ask, right? What? We've always known that we can make demands on our politicians. However, you have made it a specific point to always tell us how we should vote, who we should vote for, when it's okay to vote, when it's not okay to vote. Like, and you don't do that to any other demographic ever. But you specifically do it to Black people. It's disgusting. I do not know how the Democratic Party still survives this, but let's check this out.
The last point I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote, and it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter, the assassination of Dr. King. There are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours. Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, oh, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional. And to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
You think it's okay? Wait a minute. It's okay to give people permission? What kind of mindset is that? It's okay to give people permission to be transactional. What? No one needs your permission. You serve us. See, that's the imperialistic mindset. They think they're emperors, not kings and queens, emperors, which is worse than a king or a queen. Because that mindset tells them, I'm over you. You are continuously beneath me. You're worse than a slave. You're worse than a serf. You are here to serve me. That's what imperialistic mindset says, in my opinion. Really, ma'am, nobody needs your permission. And if we're going to be truly transparent, and if we are going to vote in our best interest, we want everybody who's here illegally off the soil. And we want you to stop making excuses for them to be here and caping for them. And now you want to come back to Black people like, hey, you know what? We're totally going to give you permission to vote in your own self-interest. What? I can't. It's Monday. My goodness. It's Buds. Thank you so much for your good morning. It says, we're never wrong, just a tad bit early. We're the trendsetters. Yeah, yeah. But I find it very disingenuous because now they're like, okay, Black people, it's okay to vote in your own self-interest. We're going to give you have permission to be transactional. It's that line right there. Permission to be transactional? Wow. Okay, so because right now I think she's trending at like 6% for the presidential race. The last time she dropped out, she was at 2%. And then Biden took her on as his VP. Because it was all about, racial politics, identity politics, right? And we saw where that got us, didn't get us anywhere. And now, we thought, okay, we're coming up out of this. And now it's a whole nother thing going on. And there's just a lot of distractions, in my opinion, with this conflict. And I'm still calling it conflict. I know people are calling it a war. We're going to get into it here in a moment. But let's continue with the next trending topic. And this one was interesting. It says police dispersed a large teen fight at Independence Walmart. So around 8 p.m., and it was about 8 hours ago that this was posted. About 30 juveniles gathered for a fight at the Walmart Supercenter in East US Highway 40 and Sterling Avenue, Independence, Missouri. Officers from Kansas City interviews, which is good, thank goodness. Though an assault investigation continues, video showed scuffles, shouts, and police directing people away amid unverified social media claims of larger crowds, reckless driving, and debris like broken plants. So I'm going to play this video. I don't know if there's going to be any spicy language, as I like to say, but it says another mass brawl outside Walmart. People straight up throwing broken potted plants like weapons. One idiot even launches a plant and clocks the security guard in the head. Why do we keep living like this and letting businesses get trashed every day? What is really going on? Is there something in the water? What is going on? Did everybody forget to take their medication? Let's see.
To the scene with my ceiling missing. Pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing. Pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing. Pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing.
It's a whole lot of Walmart, bro. Oh, these people ran.
I want you! Get out of the store now! Get on property! Get off!
Pepper spray. That's why they're calling milk on this. Okay. But, seeing this, it's a reminder. What are we doing? Now, these people, these humans in this video, these are the people that are going to be taking care of us in nursing homes, you guys. These are the people that are going to be running the country one day. They're going to be your local politicians. All right. And much of y'all sitting out there laughing. Stop laughing. This is what we are breeding and raising and educating. Because see, people that are busy and not idle, because this is idle mind right here. People that are not idle don't need to do this. People that are idle do this. They're sitting, they are engaged on the computer, and they're getting upset, and they're going outside, and they're what they call them NPCs. This is what we see. This is the downgrade of our country. And we need to do better for our young people in making sure that they are engaged and that they're not these idle minds. Okay, next video. Video shows USAID rice from Haiti aid resold in the Dominican Republic. What? A 17-second video posted by investigative account Muckrucker on April 12th captures white USAID bags, colorful stalls in the Dominican Republic where rice meant for starving Haitians appears to be resold. Prominent voices like Carrie Lake called it USAID corruption and taxpayer grift, while others demanded the agency be shut down. Amid substantial U.S. aid to Haiti, $591 million in fiscal 2024 plus $138 million in early 2025. The footage highlights documented challenges with aid resale and market diversion in the region. So here's the video, and this is posted by Eric Daugherty. OMG, U.S. aid paid for by tax republic. This is exactly why U.S. aid needed to be shut down. At a Haiti street market, they just have bags of U.S. aid food, making bank off of it. Now, see, if this person was here in the United States, they should be, they might be arrested. But you know what they're doing in the United States? Anybody live in New York right now? California, anywhere? You see the little street vendors, and they've got their fruit and all this stuff. Those individuals more than likely are receiving food stamps. And they take those food stamps and they buy food and then they resell it. That's illegal. They're not supposed to be allowed to do it, but they're being allowed to do it. Now, this here in Haiti, and I feel bad for those in Haiti, the sad part about all of this is that you've got their own government who receives all kinds of money and they don't give it to the people the way they're supposed to. And then this happens with USAID. And people are trying to turn a profit so they can live. The whole thing is disgusting. But I know if we shut off USAID to places like Haiti, what would happen to these people? Right? And that's the catch-22. How should I say? Poverty has become dependent on the U.S. because how many other countries are supporting that? Because that's USAID. See any other countries sending food to these individuals or supplies? I don't know. Maybe there are. And they're turning it around so they can profit from it, from either tourists or the local economy, to create some type of economy. With the money that's given to Haiti annually, just from the United States, and that's outside of people who have NGOs and they go over there and they might do some missionary work. They should have better, but they don't. And that needs to be investigated, looked at, and audited. But will we ever get that audit? That's a bigger question. There it is.
¿A cuánto? ¿Eso qué es? Sí, ¿a cuánto? 100 pesos la libra.
100 pesos per pound, because that's the only way that they are able to survive. Now, if you are in this person's situation, are you going to be asking whether it's legal or not? You're not. But the question is, why isn't this food going to people who are supposed to have it? Because what happens is it's dropped off there. The assumption is their government is going to get it to the right people to distribute it. And then this is what happens. So people that are going hungry, people that should have food, and we're thinking here in the United States, oh yeah, they're good. No, they're not. It's being stolen right off the top and resold to them. It shouldn't be sold at all. It should be free because it was already given to them. It's already paid for. Gross. All right. This is another topic I wanted to get to. So breaking Interpol, which is kind of like, I guess, our FBI, CIA here that we have arrested Yoel Alter, a 35-year-old Israeli who is a member of the Lev Tahor, the world's largest child sex trafficking ring. What? Over 160 children have been rescued from this Jewish pedophile gang. What? You might want to ask yourself why the media, politicians, and social influencers have buried this story. As you can see, it's just 6 seconds. He's just walking through. So this dude, trafficking children. Yeah. These things are happening. They're happening right under our noses. We don't necessarily want to see it, maybe. And maybe why we're not talking about it is because this person they're attached to Israel. Right? And there's gonna be evil everywhere. I'm not making any excuses. And I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. But what I am gonna say is, don't you ever say that we can't talk about what's going on in your country, and don't tell us how to act over here in the United States. We have freedom of speech over here. What are we doing? We need to report these things, because if they're happening, they're happening. So people can be protected. That's why we're supposed to have a media to alert us so that we are protected. Just a mess. Okay. So with that, I think I've gotten through my trending topics. Let's get into some of these updates on the Strait of Hormuz. If you've been following any of the media over the weekend, it was like whiplash. In my opinion, I was like, oh, there was something posted 5 minutes ago with what's the most current and where are we at? So it's been a back and forth. And this is how negotiations go. We like it, we don't like it, we hate it, we like this, but we don't like that. We're not sure about this. And this is what we are seeing, the sausage being made in essence. And that's why it seems very confusing, because one day it's on, one day it's off. One day we're good, the other day we're not. We had a meeting, we didn't have a meeting. It's sad, but this is how negotiations go. It's really crazy. But let's see if we can get anything from these updates that I've collected.
With the war in Iran, the U.S. Navy is preparing to impose a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, and this is after peace talks failed to reach a deal. Peyton Kennedy is at the WKRN.com alert desk with the latest. Peyton.
And President Donald Trump says those peace talks would have included the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical waterways for oil and other energy products. Vice President J.D. Vance, though, was involved in 21 hours of peace talks, but ultimately said Iran would not give up its nuclear program. Now, the U.S. Navy blockade begins, all to add pressure onto Iran. Iran has exported millions of barrels of oil since the war started. Much of it was likely carried by so-called dark transits that do not follow government sanctions and oversight. The blockade stops all traffic from entering and exiting Iranian ports. Remember, News 2 brings you breaking news around the clock at WKRN.com.
So there's that. And good morning, Uncle Coolwater. Thank you so much for joining us. And he says every immigrant that comes to America comes with some type of unethical culture. It's sad. It's really sad. But now I understand why in the early 1900s, before we really opened up our borders, right, to bring in people from other parts of the world, there were certain countries that they were like, they can't come over here. Now I know why. It's one of those things. This is how I get ants, right? This is how I get ants. My goodness. There were so many. If I go back to that list, I'll have to pull up that Grok research that I did. But I remember it was saying it was a few countries that they listed, and I want to say it was in a document, probably when they were going through the 14th Amendment, and I was doing all that studying. And they basically had like it's close to maybe 20 countries that they were like, they cannot come over here, right? We can deal with them from afar, but they cannot migrate here. Now I get it. Because there are just some people that you're just not in alignment with. You're just not. And we have to get to a point where we say, that's okay, right? Everybody can't live in your house. Look, you have relatives that can't even live in your house under the same roof. It's like, look, we all love each other, but when, a certain uncle or auntie comes by, everybody's like, oh, it's about to pop off, y'all. We can't all be under the same roof. We might be good for 20 minutes and then it's going to be a fallout, right? Because yeah, there might be love there, but we can't live under the same roof. And we need to get to the point where we are accepting of that, because not everybody can live in your house. And that's the same way it is in the United States. Not everybody can be over here. And they've proven it by the scams that have been done. Now, this isn't a slight at the Somali community. That's just one community we know about. I'm sure that there are Americans doing the same thing, but they just haven't been pointed out yet. Right? That's the word, yet. Because those who have been pushing the button to give out the dollars have been asleep at the wheel, in my opinion. There's been no audits. There's been no compliance. If you are going to actually dole out and be responsible for pushing the button, in essence, right, to give these organizations money, there's got to be some responsibility. There has to be some compliance and auditing, and not self-auditing. There actually has to be people that are over these programs, or just don't send out any money at all. Shut it all off. Shut it all off at the federal level. No more grants. No more federal program. Nothing. And now a lot of people, what do you mean people are going to starve? Stop that. I'm not talking about Social Security, Medicaid. Well, yeah, I'm not talking about those programs. And I'm not even talking about the SNAP programs. Okay. We'll just leave those alone, but people have to reapply so we can make sure that they're actual citizens receiving those funds. That's fair, right? Those definitely need to be audited. I'm talking about the NGOs. I'm talking about the other programs that are like, hey, we've got homelessness over here. Even though in California, on average, they're receiving, on average, through some programs, $90,000 per person. But that person is still on the street. That person still isn't receiving any resources. But you've got $90,000 designated for just that one human. Something's wrong. Obviously, those dollars aren't being applied. But when you look at the salaries of these people making, six figures in the $300,000 range, then you start to find out that's where the money's going. That's what's happening to our federal tax dollars. So we really have to, like I said, just be more mindful of what we're doing and how we're doing it. Now, I wanted to play another video just to give us an update on the conflict that's happening with the Strait of Hormuz.
Breaking news in the war on Iran. Starting at 10 a.m., U.S. Central Command says the U.S. military will block all ships in and out of Iranian ports. President Donald Trump also says the U.S. Navy will stop ships from passing through the Strait of Hormuz, effective immediately. 21 hours of ceasefire talks with Iran ended over the weekend without an agreement to end the war. Vice President J.D. Vance said an agreement could not be reached over Iran's nuclear program. Iran accused the U.S. of making unreasonable demands. President Trump also defended his social media post from last week that read, quote, "A whole civilization will die in Iran." He says it brought the regime to the negotiating table. The Pope called the comments unacceptable. President Trump called the Pope, quote, "terrible for foreign policy."
We don't like a Pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a Pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo.
The Pope has urged the president to end the war on Iran. He lamented in his Easter message last week that the world is becoming indifferent to violence. The Pope also criticized the Trump administration's immigration policies. New gas price data this morning from AAA shows the average cost in Raleigh is down a cent to $3.91. Gas is also down a cent in Durham to $3.95 a gallon. And in Fayetteville, it's down 3 cents to $3.86 for a gallon of regular.
Yeah. And I've always found it fascinating that the Catholic Church puts themselves in the center of politics, in that it's allowed, right? Because, there was that whole thing with the 501c3 and, churches shouldn't be in politics and they're losing their funding. Well, that's changed, right? Under Trump's administration. Now you can talk about politics in church and not be demonized for it or lose your 501c status. Okay, fine. But him saying he doesn't like the immigration policy, sir, you know what's interesting? The Vatican, not everybody can just walk into the Vatican. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you have borders, how you have security, how everybody just can't be there. But it's okay for everybody to just be here in the United States. Stop it. I'm not a fan. Not necessarily of the Pope. I'm not a fan of the ideology that they profess to have. I'm not. I don't think that it's okay for people to just do whatever they want to do when the Bible clearly states there are rules that you are subject to, right? Under governmental rule. You just are. You cannot just live without rules. God has rules. God has a border. Just saying. And for you to, make a statement like that, it's not cool. But again, one of the few things I do not like how the Catholic Church is allowed to sway our politics, nor do I like it that Israel's allowed. I don't like it that anybody who is not, that we haven't voted for, has got sway on how our politics go. I'm really hoping that they come to some type of, they're never going to like each other, and who are we to say, Iran, you can't have this, you can't have that. No, I don't think it's what they can't have. I think the negotiations are going wrong. It should be like, look, we know you want to have a nuclear defense system because everybody else does, right? The thing about it is, who has access to the button and who's going to push this button, right? And we do have to have some type of friend-enemy relationship with you. Can you guarantee if we say, all right, you have the right to defend yourself, you can have, all the nukes and uranium you want, right? How is this going to impact your neighbors? Okay. And how are we going to work together? Because now we've created this wonderful global society. How are we going to work together to make sure that humans are safe? Because obviously humans don't react well to radiation. They kind of die after a while, right? So what are your intentions? Are your intentions energy? Because that was the whole thing before, right? You wanted to build nuclear reactors so you could have energy, and everybody's like, okay, well, where are the nuclear reactors? Why is everything underground? Maybe they have everything underground because maybe radiation is bad in the air. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just saying. There has to, you have to have these open conversations as opposed to you just can't have everything because we said so. No, that's not going to work for anybody. I think it's better to say, what are your intentions and how can we get to a civil understanding that everybody's going to be armed, right? Everybody's going to have a gun. The thing is we need to keep the guns in the cabinet and not shoot people so that the citizens don't die. It's a very plain conversation, but it depends on how you want to negotiate that. So we will see. My goodness. But let's get to our Promethean update and see what they have to say. This is from, I want to say this would be from Saturday because it's Monday.
J.D. Vance boarded a plane to Pakistan for peace talks with Iran. Donald Trump posted 4 words on Truth Social: world's most powerful reset. The media ignored it. They had no idea what he meant. Was he talking about Iran? Was it some coded threat? I know what it meant, and by the end of this video, you will too. We've all been flooded with propaganda by Trump's enemies, domestic and foreign. Most people think he's just throwing grenades, tariffs, trade wars, threats of military force with no plan behind any of it. I'm telling you, they're dead wrong. What you're watching is a deliberate strategic reset of the entire world order. Not the great reset that King Charles, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and Joe Biden announced during COVID. They told you energy had to be rationed and world government imposed, or we would all die from the climate apocalypse or the next pandemic. Trump's reset goes entirely in the opposite direction. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I've tracked the imperial great game for decades. I've lived through managed decline. I've studied the American system of economics, which Trump has resurrected, and I know it will produce a new and completely different world. Here's what I'm covering today. First, what was the Great Reset before Trump? Next, what is the world's most powerful reset? And finally, how does Artemis II fit into all of this? Let's begin. But first, like and share this video now. It increases our reach on YouTube and tells YouTube to increase our audience. Let's start with the old Great Reset, because you need to understand what Trump is dismantling before you can understand what he's building. The World Economic Forum's Great Reset wasn't a conspiracy theory. Klaus Schwab said it out loud in public in June of 2020. COVID, he declared, was a narrow window of opportunity to remake capitalism.
For the post-corona era, we have a choice: to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today: polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset. We have to mobilize all constituents of our global society to work together. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity.
Did you hear that? COVID was an opportunity. Earlier in the speech, you said that COVID had shown a lack of social cohesion caused by nationalists and racists. In other words, those who are refusing to comply with insane lockdown mandates. I don't know about you, but that speech still stands my hair on end. Under the Great Reset, energy had to be rationed and controlled. Carbon had to be taxed and strangled. every sovereign nation was supposed to surrender to globalist institutions who no one elected. Prince Charles, now the king, joined Schwab in announcing the Great Reset. Current Canadian Prime Minister and Trump hater Mark Carney was moved from the Bank of England to UN climate czar. He created a net zero carbon finance regime, the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, controlling an estimated $130 trillion in assets and aiming to police and control all global credit. Who profited from this? Well, the City of London's banks and insurers did. An independent academic study from the University of Manchester confirms this. Green finance became British industrial policy, run through what the author calls the City Bank Treasury Nexus, designed to preserve the City of London's financial dominance, not save the planet. Main Street America, workers, manufacturers, small businesses, farmers, all get strangled when energy prices surge or when the supply is unreliable. For 4 years under Biden, it was the policy, the pipeline shutdowns, the drilling restrictions, the war on American natural gas, the record inflation, the loss of energy independence. All of it flowed from that Great Reset blueprint. Trump's energy reset is a mirror image. Drill, build, export. Let American energy flood the world market, drive down prices, and make every nation that wants cheap power an American partner rather than a hostage of the global establishment. But that means free and open use of places like the Strait of Hormuz, without constant threats of terrorist disruption and the resulting artificial price hikes from London's commodities markets. Which brings us to today. Were Venezuela and now Iran only about corrupt terrorist regimes? Or is something much more fundamental going on, like rewiring the entire global financial system to accommodate Trump's American economic renaissance? Is that what Trump is talking about when he writes world's most powerful reset? I'm about to tell you about that. But if you're beginning to suspect Trump is up to something nobody else is talking about, that's exactly why Promethean Action exists. I've been watching the fight between empire and sovereign nation states since the 1970s, which is the real battlefield we're now on. If you want to find out more, take a minute and subscribe to our free newsletter at PrometheanAction.com. Now, James Thorne is the chief market strategist at Wellington Altus, one of Canada's largest private wealth firms. In his April briefing, he said that Trump's moves in Venezuela and Iran have a motive nobody is talking about: re-anchoring global energy and money in the dollar system for the next 50 years. He calls it Bretton Woods 2.0. He's right about Trump's motives, but he's wrong when he says Trump's model is the petrodollar looting system created by Wall Street and the City of London in 1971. And he's wrong when he says Trump is playing a new great game, the operating system for the British Empire. Trump is using the American system of Hamilton, Lincoln, and McKinley based on constant scientific and technological progress. Thorne says China's exploitation of Iran and Venezuela's black market in sanctioned oil gave China an unfair economic advantage. He also notes that China's investments in Iran's energy and defense infrastructure and in the Middle East and Latin America generally challenged U.S. interests. Iran is an anchor in China's Belt and Road revolution of global transportation. The bridges and infrastructure Trump is threatening to embalm include significant Chinese capital investments. All of that is true. But Trump is not out to destroy China or go to war with it. And China's investments include billions in Gulf nations and Israel, allies of the United States, attacked by Iran. Venezuela wasn't just about oil, it was about knocking out a key financial and logistics center for the drug trade. And here's Trump late yesterday talking about Iran.
What would a good deal look like for you?
No nuclear weapon, number one. You know, I think it's already been regime change, but we never had that as a criteria. No nuclear weapon. That's 99% of it.
Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, but that'll open up automatically. The answer is yes, but the strait will open up. If we just left, the strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. So the strait's going to open, but what we have is no nuclear weapon, but we'll open the strait anyway.
The
Don't forget, we don't use the strait. Other countries use the strait. So we do have other countries coming up, and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be, I would say this, we will have that open fairly soon.
And here is what Trump's national defense strategy says about China. The Indo-Pacific will soon make up more than half of the global economy. The American people's security, freedom, and prosperity are therefore directly linked to our ability to trade and engage from a position of strength in the Indo-Pacific. Were China, or anyone else for that matter, to dominate this broad and crucial region, it would be able to effectively veto Americans' access to the world center of economic gravity, with enduring implications for our nation's prospects, and I'm underlining this, including our ability to reindustrialize. A favorable balance of power in the Indo-Pacific is not for purposes of dominating, humiliating, or strangling China. It is simply to ensure that neither China nor anyone else can dominate us or our allies. This does not require regime change or some other existential struggle. In other words, two different civilizations in a race to define the future for the next 50 years. A race, not a war. Not just that, look who's involved now in the Iran talks. Pakistan, China, Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. All of them are members of Trump's Board of Peace with the exception of China, set up to permanently end the Middle East conflict and drive economic development. This morning, Donald Trump put an exclamation point on that. He posted that a massive number of empty oil tankers were headed to the U.S. to fill up on oil and gas. That was a message about huge economic loss to the Iranian delegation in Islamabad, losses which will continue if they don't negotiate. NATO, the Praetorian Guard of the Great Reset of Klaus Schwab, King Charles, and the City of London, Trump says they're done, over with in one way or another. And last night, the future for humanity dawned boldly when Artemis II splashed down in the Pacific. Now, last night I watched, and I hope you watched in wonder, as our Artemis II came back safe and sound after an almost flawless mission. So did millions of other people. 18 million watched the launch, and that many or more were anticipated to watch the splashdown. President Trump congratulated the crew and pointed the mission immediately to Mars. The transit point will be a moon colony powered by nuclear reactors. The president's science advisor, Michael Kratsios, posted this video to his X account on Thursday.
Today, the same spirit beckons us to begin new journeys of exploration and discovery, to lift our eyes all the way up to the heavens and once again imagine the possibilities waiting in those big, beautiful stars, if we dare to dream big.
Dream big, think big. That used to be what Americans did, how we thought about transforming reality for the better, the more perfect. The Apollo missions and the inventions they created transformed our economy and advanced our standard of living. Compare that with the absurd world of the old Great Reset, the world which says there are too many people, fixed resources, and we need central bankers to tame our dreams. All of this, I think, is what the president was thinking when he wrote World's Most Powerful Reset. The world's most powerful reset: energy, money, space, a moon colony on the way to Mars, the Strait of Hormuz secured, China and Russia brought in from the cold. NATO's Praetorian Guard of the old order finished. The people who told you that you would own nothing and be happy are watching their system dissolve. Klaus Schwab is gone from the WEF. Mark Carney's 130 trillion net zero regime has collapsed. The City of London is no longer writing the rules. Americans are doing what Americans do when nobody is strangling their dreams. They're building, they're launching. Most of us at Promethean Action have been in this fight since the 1970s, long before it became visible to everyone else. We have a big job ahead with securing the midterms so this great reset can continue. We need your help in this. Subscribe to Promethean Action's free.
Yeah, so that was a good update. And it's a different perspective than what you are actually hearing out in the media. And that's why I do like Promethean. So, you know who you are. Thank you so much for, exposing me to Promethean. And yeah, they are really, really, like I said, it's a good perspective because they step outside of what's been handed to us with the mainstream media and how we should go about um, seeing things. Yeah. We have to still remember we are under the Smith Modernization Act and we can be propagandized. So we have to be very careful with all bits of information, even from Prometheus, right? I still look at their stuff and I'm like, okay, can you back it up? Can you show me? I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, because we have to remember as American citizens, we are free. But if we succumb to other people who want to destroy our freedom, that falls on us. We can't blame other people if we lose our freedom. We only have ourselves to blame. So with that, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to get back into some more of this news for our Monday recap. Thank you so much for joining me here, and I'll see you on the other side.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Water sustains life, but what if it could do more than hydrate? What if it could deliver light directly into the body? Introducing the LifeWave X2O water technology system, the first and only water technology system that infuses water with light. Using patented light infusion technology, the result is hydration optimized at the cellular level, supporting metabolism and nutrient absorption. And through hydrogen infusion, delivering antioxidant properties that support the body's natural defenses. When hydration works at the cellular level, you feel it where it matters. You drink it, you feel it. A new era in cellular hydration, powered by light. LifeWave X2O.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. Excuse me. And I will be your host. Thank you so much for joining me here on this Monday for our Monday recap broadcast. So if you have any questions about LifeWave, the patches, or the water filtration system, you can reach out to lifewave.com/Noni CMS LLC, and you will see my website. I am a distributor, so if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Again, that's Noni CMS LLC, and that's lifewave.com. So let's get back into our news recap. And now I came across this video. Now, this is from Video, and it's talking about the French debt and how it's past the point of no return, but it's also talking about the debt that we carry here in America as well. And in this financial, how should I say it? It's not a bubble. It's hard to explain. But I guess the easiest way to say it is you've got the oil with the Strait of Hormuz, right? You've got President Trump saying, well, we don't even get our oil from there. And we're not as impacted, right? We have less impact, but it is still impacting us. And even though this video doesn't talk a lot about OPEC, and that's a whole different situation we'll have to go into, but they kind of determine some of where the price of barrels of oil are at. They're affecting everybody. So what I really appreciate about what's laid out in this video is where we are and where we can get to, but just having that realistic view of this is where the economy is kind of settled at and what next steps you can take to protect you and your family.
You heard the music. You know what time it is. It's time for an economic update with Dr. Kirk Elliott. Welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, as I was looking through the notes for the show, I kept seeing France on there. I'm like, what does France have to do with the United States?
I mean, France, so sadly, France is similar to the United States in its debt levels. So their public debt is roughly at 115% of GDP. America's debt is at 100% more than that of GDP.
Oh, wow.
This is bad. And historically speaking, whenever a country's debt exceeds 100% of GDP, they cease to exist in time as that same form. So they go from a republic to a dictatorship, or democracy to a dictatorship, right? Something changes, right? So that's the danger. And America has never been over 100% debt to GDP until during COVID it got there, and now it's well above that, right? So the odds aren't on our sides outside of a miracle from God, right, to get us out of this debt spiral. I mean, we're at close to $40 trillion worth of debt. This is a problem, right? This is a problem. Well, France is ahead of us, right? So they've got this problem now where they've got this debt spiral, this fiscal crisis. They're having to raise taxes to try to get out of it, and French can't afford to live. They've got, all of these austerity measures on their retirement accounts and saying, oh, France, we live in a great socialist nation and you've paid higher taxes your whole life so we can take care of you during retirement. And then Macron says, well, actually, you know what? We're going to have to increase your retirement age. And, when we increase it, you're going to get less too. It's like, what?
Whoa.
I mean, that's when people are rioting and they're protesting. So here's the problem for France. Going back to the Maastricht Treaty, if you have debt levels that high, ultimately you get the boot from the European Union. So it's like, are they going to get kicked out of the EU because of their debt? So what do you start to do, right? You've got to shore things up. You've got to make sure that internally you've got assets to cover your debt. You've got to try to figure it out. You've got to make the people happy, or else they're going to get you revolt. So we've talked a lot about when countries don't trust other countries, they start repatriating their assets, right? So Germany has been repatriating its gold. They're bringing it home. They're bringing it home to roost because they don't trust the United States storing it. The United States has been repatriating its gold and silver. We talked about this last year, coming from I was going to say all corners of the earth, but then I'm going to make people who don't believe in flat earth mad. And so it's coming from all parts of the world.
Every direction.
Every direction.
You can't win. The earth is a sphere. No, it's flat. No, it's a sphere. No, it's flat. I mean, anyways.
Artemis has that crowd really twisted now out there.
Yeah, it's all totally twisted. So here's where we were bringing gold back. Why were we bringing it back? Well, because they're going to audit the Fort Knox. Well, Trump is going to back our currency with gold, right? Who knows what the real reason is, or they just needed to cover their short positions at COMEX. Regardless, it was coming here. Now, France is saying, we want our gold back. We want it back, right? So the story, the official story, which I don't think is the true story, is, well, we just need to exchange less valuable gold for more valuable gold. So we're taking this stuff because we want to have the highest quality in our storage vaults, and we're going to store it in Paris. Well, that's dumb. I mean, it's all like COMEX deliverable gold. It's all going to be, pure stuff. So what I think is happening is they're needing it home to shore up their own finances, because they could get kicked out of the EU because they're violating the Maastricht Treaty. And if this happens, the world politically is about to change, because they do not want to get kicked out of the EU. So what are they going to start to do? They're going to start massive tax hikes, because that's how socialist politicians act, right? So fast forward over to the United States. What do our socialist politicians on the left think? Well, it's always raise taxes on the wealthy.
Yep.
I mean, you've had the governor of New York say, we've got to make changes in New York because people are fleeing to non-income, tax states. Like they're leaving Florida, they're going to Texas, they're going to Florida, they're leaving New York, right? So then you've got Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan Chase saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So now there's starting to be this revolt, and this is where I'm very happy about this news, is people are starting to leave these ultra blue states, right, where they're taxed out of their minds, going into places that are more economically free. I think France is about to have another French Revolution, in the sorts of, maybe the way that we've been doing it hasn't been so good either. So as the world changes, as people see higher taxes, what do you do to protect yourselves? Well, you get out of the system. B, you start allocating into something that does very well during times of paradigm shifting moments like what we're seeing. And that's where gold and silver really actually do amazingly good, is times like this. Now, we have volatility right now, like we talked about on the last show, because of the war in Iran, that conflict. Nobody knows from day to day what's going to happen. Are we going to bomb? Are we going to not? Is it going to be over? Is it going to be extended? We don't know, right? But what we do know is that I will shout this from the rooftops constantly: geopolitical conflict, political conflict, uncertainty, turbulence, chaos, turmoil, change, low supply, high demand, inflationary pressures always cause tangible assets to go up. Gold and silver are a great way to allocate into tangible assets. People ask me all the time about copper. It's like, Kirk, I want to invest in copper. It's doing good too. It's like, do you realize it's like $14,000 a ton? Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Spend 28 grand and get a couple tons of copper put in your garage? Nobody invests in copper like that. Nobody. Right. So why don't you do silver that you can actually store? Depositories don't store copper, right? And silver is a great proxy for copper, because in the earth, they come from the same veins,
right?
In the earth. I mean, so the point is, you allocate into strength during the times that we're living in. Right now, all arrows are pointing towards gold and silver.
They're pointing towards real.
Yeah, for sure.
And that you can touch as the move.
That's exactly right. So Flyover Family, you might be saying, how do I do that? What is the next step? It's very simple. You just go to flyovergold.com. There's a place you can fill out your information for a free consultation. That means put in your email, put your phone number, put your name in. They will get a hold of you to set up a free consultation, get all of your questions answered, find out what's great for you and your family. Also, while you're there, make sure you pick up the book, Thriving in an Economic Tsunami. It's absolutely free. It's written by Dr. Kirk. It's going to give you a lot of answers. It's going to be sent.
And the reason why I wanted to play that video for you guys is to let you know that there is a way through this, right? All is not lost. Now, this next video that I want to get to is from Doc Rich. I've played his videos before, And I've actually gone over this before. Now, he's talking about the Dignity Act. Now, they have resurfaced this and they're pushing it again. In my opinion, it is backdoor amnesty because Maria Salazar, who is, I want to say she's District 27 in Florida, she's a Republican. She keeps pushing for this along with Democrats. And she keeps saying, well, it's not backdoor amnesty and it's not going to give people citizenship, but they'll have dignity while they're here illegally. It's weird. It's and every time I hear her talk about it, it's like you sound like Satan because it isn't honest. If people are here illegally, they need to go back to their home country and come back here legally if they want to be here. But you cannot be here illegally. And you're going to hear her being interviewed and just some of the things that she goes over for this Dignity Act. But I find it very disingenuous. I do believe it is backdoor amnesty. They keep saying it's not. I think it is. They want to just get it passed so they can just give everybody citizenship. And then where are we? Because see, people, especially corporations, have gotten drunk, in my opinion, off of low wages. They're never going to return. If you're paying somebody $5 an hour and they become a citizen and it's like, okay, they're a citizen now, you got to pay them $20 an hour. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. They will figure out a way to undercut people or get rid of them altogether, right? That's why we have this whole fourth industrial revolution with robotics, right? You think AI is bad. Wait till the robotics come in and you're just replaced by a robot. And it's happening. I've seen it at restaurants. We're seeing it at hospitals, which I'll get into tomorrow. Look, as humans, there comes a point where we have to say enough. And I know people want to have freedom. I know people want to live better than they are, but you have to do it the right way. We cannot say, well, you're here. We know you're here illegally, so we're just going to give you a pass. We can't do that. We already did that back in the 80s, and it cannot be done again. So let's get into this video. Let me see if I'm making sure this is the right one. Here we go.
Talk about this. We may soon be getting hit with anywhere between 12 and 17 million illegal immigrants becoming legal citizens, and virtually all deportations coming to a screeching halt. Yes, I am not kidding, ladies and gentlemen. I am not kidding. And I feel like this conversation isn't being had enough, so we are going to have this conversation today. There is a bill that some Republicans, of course, yeah, we're going to have to talk about those Republicans, are attempting to push through that will do exactly what I just said. So with that being said, make sure you guys smack that like button. If you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. I also have a second channel. It is called Extra Rich. That link is down below in the description box. I'm sure you guys will love the videos that I upload over there as well. So hope to see you guys over there. Let's hop right on into this and let's get a little bit of an explanation on what this kind of is, and then we'll dive into who's the main pusher and how embarrassing all of this really is. So let's hop into this clip. This is Congressional Representative Brandon Gill. Check it out.
It's actually called the Dignidad Act. It's a Spanish word, and that's straight from the bill text. And it's written in a foreign language because it's a bill that benefits foreigners over American citizens. But this is an amnesty bill, plain and simple. What it does is it gives legal status to about 12 million illegal aliens. Not only that, but it says that it effectively stops the president from deporting illegal aliens.
Yeah, not even kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Not even kidding. 12 to 17 million illegals will become legal citizens, and yeah, all deportations will virtually be stopped.
So the Amnesty Act, I already knew it was horrible, but the more I kept reading it, the worse it gets. Okay, so the biggest things within here. The DREAM Act, it grants conditional lawful permanent resident status to illegal aliens who've been here since 2021. Number two, you have DACA recipients getting fast-tracked to conditional green card status, basically stapling green cards to U.S. diplomas. Those two in and of itself are already bad enough. But then just wait, there's more. There's a new program called the Dignity Program, which is a separate fast track for illegal aliens who don't qualify for the DREAM Act. And then finally, last thing, after those people being granted dignity status, this in essence just completely ends all mass deportations in the US. And you're telling me there's 18 Republicans supporting this? This is a dumpster fire of a bill. I hope that every other Republican votes no. And I think that all Republican offices' phones should be ringing off the hooks right now, because this is freaking nuts, and this would be horrible for the future of the United States.
Absolutely. Those phones should be ringing off the hook. And the lady that is pushing this is a congressional representative. Hold on, let me bring up her name. I want to make sure I get this correctly. I believe her name is Maria Salazar out of, hold on, wait, goodness gracious, where did I put that? I had a whole list. Here we go. Congressional Representative Maria Salazar out of Florida 27, okay? And she comes from a Republican plus 15 district, which is crazy. Here's the entire list of Republicans that are supporting this nonsense. So if you see any of these individuals from your state, your district, give them a call. Give them a call. Give them a call. Mike Lawler.
Now, what I did is I did find that post. And let me see. Let me remove him. And this is stage. Okay, it was posted by Gabe Guardarni. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing his name. If I did, I am so sorry. It says here's a list of the reps sponsoring the Dignidad amnesty handout. That's what he's referring it to. And it pretty much is an amnesty bill. So here's Salazar, plus 15. Lawler in New York, plus 1. Validado, California, plus 2. And this just means that their leverage. Newhouse in Washington is retiring. Kelly in Pennsylvania has a plus 3 advantage. Fitzpatrick has a plus 1. Pennsylvania. Evans has a plus 1 in Colorado. Stutzman in Indiana has a plus 33. Bacon is retiring, and that person's in Nebraska. Kim, that's in California, has a Republican plus 12. They're in District 40. Diaz Balart is in Florida, and that's plus 35. Baird in Indiana, plus 30. Smucker in Pennsylvania, plus 21. Dela Cruz in Texas, plus 17. La Lota in New York, plus 10. Dunn is retiring, and that person's in Florida. Keegan's in Virginia, so plus 1. And there's another person named Nunn. Oh, there was Dunn and then Nunn. Is a plus 4 in Iowa. And all of these Republicans agree with this. And you think, you were like, wait a minute, but they're Republican. They're supposed to support, closed borders, conservative. We got to remember, a lot of these people who call themselves Republicans now were once Democrats. I'm pretty sure they were. And you can look back in the record. I don't doubt it. And they just came over to the Republican Party. And now they're showing their true colors. This is why people like these individuals are called rhinos, Republican in name only. That is what rhino stands for. And then they have dinos, Democrat in name only, because they don't support everything that the Democrats do, but they are over there to champion whatever, they think is supposed to be in there. And, it becomes kind of a weird conversation, right? Because it's like, okay, you were a Republican, now you're a Democrat, but you're trying to be a Republican in the Democratic Party, and vice versa, trying to be a Democrat in the Republican Party. And this is why people say that it is two wings of the same bird. We cannot do amnesty again. The country will be destroyed. Replacement migration is real. That is a UN document. I have shared that before. And in my opinion, that is the point and purpose of this Dignidad Act. But let's continue with Doc Rich.
Stuff like this is something that I would expect, like a Republican, a Republican that won in like a +1 district. I would expect that, right? Because they're kind of teetering on the edge. Republican +2. Here's a 1. There's a 1. And here's another 1, right? I would expect it from these types of folks, right? But like, look at this. Republican +35 and you're pushing this nonsense? Really? Republican +12, +33, 23, 15? It's not making any sense. It's not making any sense. Now, I want to hop into this clip of Maria Salazar, who is the main pusher of this bill. And you guys are going to have the laugh of your life because, you can imagine the type of Republican that's pushing this type of bill. This conversation went about as poorly as you would expect. Check it out.
But I want to know how it is and who it is that is going to process these background checks on 17 million people.
Homeland Security.
Have you talked about how long this is going to take? How long does it take to process 17 million people when I've got, let's even just say, 50,000 ICE agents specializing in nothing other than the Dignity Act?
Look, I cannot tell you specifically how DHS is going to manage this, but
Okay.
we give them 18 months to do it.
In 18 months, we cannot process 18 million people. That would be 33,000 people a day if we were working weekends and if every single person.
I'm going to let him finish doing the breakdown. But this lets you know the difference between people that work as administrators and people that just put things together and say, get it done. She is not thinking this through. She's like, oh, they'll just do it. Ma'am. And they shouldn't just do it. And that's what you're expecting. You're expecting to overwhelm the system. So people just go and you just throw their hands up and say, well, there's too many. We're just going to have to legalize all of them. That's what you want. You want people in a position where they just throw their hands up and give up. And that's disgusting. Let's continue.
Was getting a adequate check.
But you're concentrating on the administrative.
No, now she wants to change the subject. 33,000 people a day working 7 days a week. That would be if ICE agents were working 7 days a week, it would be 33,000 people a day. Can you legitimately check and verify the background of 33,000 people every single day? I don't think so. Not even close to that number. Not even close. But carry on, Maria.
Part and then
I'm concentrating on the background check. I am not going to be cool with giving somebody dignity when I don't know who that person is and why they're in my country.
Oh, no. I agree with you. But that's why I say no more than 5 years. You need to prove that you've been here for more than 5.
I still need to know who you are, though, Congresswoman.
Of course that I need you to know that you're a Pepe Perez or Rosa. Of course, I understand. Yes.
And I just don't know how. I just don't know.
You just don't know how.
I mean, fairness. How am I going to think about what 30,000 people is? 30,000 people is almost a full football stadium. So now if I'm going to give these illegal aliens 15 million, 17 million, you know it, the ability to go get jobs that now they can compete legally against my kids. They're already competing illegally against them, but now they can compete on a legal end. Now they're going to be able to go get a house and get a mortgage. My kid's going to have an even harder time when he's competing against an extra 17 million people.
I'm going to turn that around. Those 17 million people, most of them are helping for the supply of housing to increase.
By taking 17 million people and giving them what really is legal.
So now she's assuming that those 17 million people are going to build houses. They still need places to live, ma'am. They're not driving down the prices. It's going to drive the prices of houses up because there's going to be more people that need houses than houses available. That's why we're in a mess right now. What are you talking about? Again, the difference between people who say get it done and the people who think about how does this get done.
Legalization, even though they don't get to vote. You are now putting 17 million more people in competition for the limited amount of housing that we have. And even if they all start going to build houses, which is another issue in of itself, but even if they start to go do that, we still have 17 million new people going to compete for jobs that are getting tougher to do, especially with AI, and competing against buying a house. And so all that's going to do is going to take the American kid, and I call a kid a 20-year-old, 30-year-old,
Sure,
and it's going to put more.
saying.
It's going to put more pressure and stress on them.
I see it completely different.
So you explain this one to me. Let's say, for instance, I'm roughing numbers. Let's say, for instance, the guy on the corner was charging $20 an hour, and Jose has been getting 10 under the rug,
table,
so to say.
under the table.
Under the table, he's getting $10.
Yeah.
Is that staying like that?
No, because then now Jose,
yep,
because there's e-verify mandatory, is going to pay whatever the marketplace, whatever the fair market value is. And then the guy standing on the court.
So now he's going to get raised to $20. And then what becomes the case is that the guy who hired him in the beginning to get the cheap labor, now he doesn't have the cheap labor anymore. So now
that's correct. And he has two choices. Jose and the guy, and your friend, the white guy standing at the corner. He has two choices now. But let's suppose that the white guy says, I'm not going to do this anymore because I have an opportunity to learn how to do, I don't know, x-rays. Or I can be, instead of outside in the roofing, I can be inside the office.
No, let's do it the other way. Let's say he doesn't want to go do something else. Let's say he wants to stay in what his trade is. Because why do I have to move the American guy, Maria?
Okay, fine. Don't move him. Then have the owner. I give the owner the possibility of hiring Jose, who doesn't speak much English, and Joe, your friend.
Yeah, and Joe is a master carpenter, much more qualified. Now we've got Joe and Jose. And Jose's got everything against him because he doesn't have that one ticket anymore, which is cheap labor. So now when Jose can't find a job because the Joes of the world are coming back out and taking him when they're paying fair wage again, what are we doing with all of the Jose's who are now in my country, draining my schools, my hospitals, my food, my housing? What are we doing?
They have to pay for their own health insurance. You know that the federal law
How are they going to do that without a job, Maria?
Oh, well, then, it's then if they don't have a job.
She sounds crazy because you just made them citizens. And now you're going to say that certain American citizens can't get government benefits. You're already giving government benefits to them. What are you talking about? Like, she sounds crazy. Like, it's the longer she talks about this, the crazier she sounds. Let's continue.
Job, then they would have to go back home, or they would have to then do something. They would have to find a job, if not go back home. But there will not be any chances.
Are you telling me if he doesn't have a job, the only service that he's going to get is if he has an emergency at the emergency room? No other services. He ain't getting food. He ain't getting vouchers. He's getting nothing.
Food from where? Food from where? Who is going to give him food?
An EBT card. He's not getting anything. I'm asking you, does he get
food
any
stamps,
services?
No federal programs available. No Medicare, no Medicaid, no Social Security or food stamps.
So, ma'am, right now, they're getting everything through NGOs. This is how they're getting the money. This is how they're getting the support. What are you talking about?
I got Jose, who was poor to begin with, doesn't have any money saved. Jose doesn't have a job. He's lingering around for 30 days. And now what you're saying is,
well, he doesn't have a job, then
we smoked him out. We smoked him out. He's out.
If he just, but he has the dignity in him. He just needs to go find a job. He doesn't find a job, well, fine.
And you know what happens? He's still going to be working for $10 an hour. And that same person that's over their construction, they're like, oh, cool, you're here legally, great. I'm still going to pay you $10 over Joe for $20, right? Because you'll still work for that $10. Like I said, these corporations and these businesses, they're addicted to cheap labor. If you think giving amnesty to these people is going to change anything, it's not. It never changed anything from the 80s. That's why we're here again. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. That's why she keeps twisting herself in knots and playing with her hair and pushing it behind her ears. And
I mean, then I don't know, Jose.
Then he,
you have to
then
go
he
back
has
home.
to go home. He gets no other perk. Your math doesn't work for the sense that if you're going to now tell them they have to pay their taxes, they're automatically going to be lifted to a new salary. And now what's going to wind up happening is they're going to find the same problem that my kids got. I got to pay taxes, Dad. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. I can't find an apartment. Apartments are $3,000 a month for 2-bedroom shithole. I can't do it. And why can't I do
they have to, but that's their responsibility, not mine.
But wait a
That's
second.
they could have 2 jobs or 3 jobs. I mean, it's like that's the average American person.
That's their responsibility, not mine. The average person can get 2 or 3 jobs. Ma'am, see, people like you need to be out of Congress. And this is why we don't want Congress having a salary. Because if you didn't have any money, you couldn't be talking like that. But you do have a 6-figure salary. You are living better than your constituents. And you sit there like that's okay. That is not okay. It's not okay. What is wrong with you? Okay, let's continue.
Problem.
I'm Maria, and what winds up happening now is you are legalizing these people to work to go into more competition against American workers.
Bingo. We're already having issues as it is, and now you want to add 12 to 17 million more issues on top of that? No, thank you. Like, you must be smoking something good. Right? You gotta be smoking something good. And for her to sit there with a straight face and say, yeah, none of these people will receive any type of benefits. BS. BS. I'm calling BS, right? Because look, all it will take, because you know Democrats will support this. How dare you guys leave these Americans, these humans out to eat absolutely nothing, to live on the streets. How dare you? Oh, well, you'll have people like her, people like Mike Lawler and others and other Republicans join Democrats in passing bills and legislation that will make sure that these now new American citizens have government assistance. It's a bold-faced lie. I can see that from 1,000 miles away. I'm sure you guys can see it too. Right, so this nonsense of, well, they're not going to get anything. They're just going to go back home. If they were going to go back home, they would have went back home already. Like let's call a spade a spade. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, it's shame on me. You're not fooling me with this. Well, if they can't afford anything, if they don't get a job, they'll just have to go back home. It's not my problem. If they were going to go back home, Maria, they would have gone back home already. They would have gone back home a long time ago when they figured out Uncle Trump was reelected. Once they saw people actually start getting deported, they would have gone back home. The fact that they're still here tells me everything I need to know. They ain't moving. Not unless they're forced to. Right? This is the same woman who literally went to the World Economic Forum and was pitching this same idea. And if you guys don't believe me, well, you know I always come with clips, baby. You know, that's one thing about me. I don't just be talking out of the side of my neck when I say stuff. I know sometimes when I say some crazy stuff, it may sound like, Rich, you're lying, bro. I'm genuinely not. She went to the World Economic Forum. What is some random congresswoman, right, out of the state of Florida doing at the World Economic Forum? Do I hear plant? I don't know. Just a thought. Y'all let me know your thoughts. Here's the clip though.
Overhaul of the immigration system. Because not only we need those hands, like the Congress, like us, a senator was saying, but we need to also give dignity to those people who are in the country. And those are the people that I represent. We're talking about 13, 15 million people who are, most of them Hispanics, I would say 85%, who speak my language, look like me, and sound like me, that are contributing with the economy of this country, and they live in the shadows. So it's time to seal the border, like she said, put order, let's see who comes in and who doesn't, and then turn around and give dignity. That doesn't mean path to citizenship. That means to include them and make them dignified members of our community.
Did y'all catch that? Did you catch it? See, I pay attention. I pay close attention. I'm gonna bring this back here because she said something that was quite interesting, and I don't even think she realized that she said it out loud.
She did.
Check it back out again.
Not only we need those hands, like the Congress, like a senator was saying, but we need to also give dignity to those people who are in the country. And those are the people that I represent. We're talking about 13, 15 million people.
Did you hear it? She said, those are the people that I represent. 13 to 15 million people. She's talking about these illegals. Those are the people you represent, Maria? I thought you were elected by American citizens, but now all of a sudden you represent the 13 to 15 million illegal immigrants? Really? Yeah, all deported.
Mind you, she said that back in 2023. If you look at the background, Davos. That was in 2023. It was 3 years ago. They have Davos every year. But 3 years ago, she was there saying those are the people that she represents. Now, Trump was not in office during that time. Our border was wide open during that time. And here she is, a Republican at Davos. What are you doing there again? Why are you there? But I guess you were there representing the people. You said that you represent illegals. How is this person still in office? If y'all don't vote her out in Florida, District 27, you have work to do. I'm just saying.
Patients will virtually be stopped.
So the Amnesty Act, I already knew it was horrible, but the more I kept reading it, the worse it gets. Okay, so the biggest things within
Sorry. It went back a little bit. Speed it forward.
Miles away. I'm sure you guys can see it too. Right. So this nonsense of, well, they're not going to get anything. They're just going to go back home. If they were going to go back home, they would have went back home already. Like let's call a spade a spade. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, it's shame on me. You're not fooling me with this. Well, if they can't afford anything, if they don't get a job, they'll just have to go back home. It's not my problem. If they were going to go back home, Maria, they would have gone back home already. She said, those are the people that I represent. And so people are going to slip through the cracks. And unfortunately, I think Maria is one of them. And the rest of these Republicans are most certainly on that list as well. So we got some.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. And sorry for disrupting the video. But I did want to bring this up, and I did put it through ChatGPT just to bring up the Dignity Act that we're discussing here. And it's a bipartisan bill, and it was introduced last year, July 15, 2025. And I did play the video with Maria Salazar in it. And yes, I did call her Satan. And the reason why I did is because what Satan does is Satan will lie blatantly. And wrap it up in such a way that it's like, but this is good. It's like, no, this isn't good. People need to realize that a lot of the people that are here illegally right now are being abused. Okay, we've got human trafficking going on. We've got sex trafficking going on. We've got slave wages going on. Because for the average construction worker that may be making $15 an hour, somebody else is only making 5 to 10, maybe closer to 5. I'll say between $5 and $10 an hour. They can't speak English, so they're taken advantage of. But these are the same people building our homes that we have to live in. And then when structures are all messed up and damaged and things aren't put in properly and maybe upside down, you get what you pay for. But we need to stop allowing the drunkardness of these corporations to pay people, because there used to be a time, and even this was under Obama, where they actually put in fines. They fined the corporations that were using illegals on certain projects, or they pulled their contracts if they were under government contracts, if they were using people that were here illegally. We need to get back to that. I don't know how we got away from that, but we need to get back to that. Oh, that's right, because you guys now have a new voting base that are no longer Black people. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and it's nonsense, and it's horrible, right? So, there's some of the key provisions. Stronger border security and interior enforcement. I don't think so. It mandates e-verify. We already have e-verify. If they're not doing it now, they're not going to do it. We've had e-verify for what, over a decade? Stop that. So it's going through. Dignity program, main pathway for 10 to 12 million. Long-term. So we know that we have people that are here and they're called long-term undocumented. No, you're here illegally. There's nothing about you being here long-term. You're just being allowed to be here, and you need to go back. Here's my thing. Anybody that's still here and they've been here over 10 years, you don't get citizenship, because there's a reason why you don't have it. There's a reason why you don't have it. Because you came here illegally. That's why you don't have it. You're already deemed as a criminal. You've already committed a crime because you came here illegally. If you want to be here illegally, again, go home, go to your home country, do that 5 to 10 years over there, and then come back here the right way. But you don't want to do that. That's not what's being encouraged. What's being encouraged is illegal activity, and it's wrong. It is just flat out wrong. Now, I did pose a question here. Did I pose my question, or did I go past it? Let me see. I wanted to ask Grok. Maybe I asked Grok at the beginning. But yeah, and I said, how will it affect the United States immigration system? Let me go to that part, then go back up. So overall potential effects on the U.S. immigration system. So on the enforcement side, it would be significantly harder to enter, remain illegally. Mandatory e-verify and expedited asylum would detour future illegal immigration and reduce the undocumented population over time. And that's a lie, because that's what amnesty was supposed to do the first time. That's why we even have e-verify. So if it hasn't been working in over 4 decades, how is it automatically, magically supposed to happen now? There's no consequence when e-verify is faulty. There's no consequence. Nobody gets deported. The company does not get fined. They don't lose their business license. There are no consequences. So existing documented population, large scale conditional legalization for pre-2021 arrivals, work status only for most, green card path only for dreamers, funded by the participants themselves. That's not going to happen, because there's always going to be an NGO there that gets a grant. That's our tax dollars to help these people. They've already done this. Like, it's so weird. Legal system, faster processing, reduced backlogs, more merit-based systems. It's backdoor amnesty. Economy, market labor addresses shortages in certain sectors, but increases legal, low and high skilled labor supply. Funds worker retaining to mitigate wage, household, school pressures, as the video warns about. Fiscal, self-funded, projected revenue to infrastructure, work training, and even debt reduction. Humanitarian, ends catch and release chaos, offers earned dignity for long-term residents who comply. So in short, the bill tries to trade enforcement plus no benefit status for most in exchange for orderly legalization of existing backlog. This is what amnesty was supposed to do the first time, and it didn't do it. It actually made it worse, because then people were like, oh, well, if I come over there, eventually they'll just be forced to give me amnesty. And actually did, in a way. because there were people who still came here illegally, still had children here still here illegally, and benefiting off of the system because they used the NGOs to stay alive. So what did we accomplish? Nothing. Nothing. This is why people are yelling from the rooftops, no amnesty. I want people to be here legally. And if you're not, you need to go back to your home country. We have to be a nation of laws or we're not. That means everybody who migrated here the right way, it's just a slap in the face to them. Why did they even do it the right way if everybody can just come here illegally and benefit? That's the bigger question. And that's the why. So thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. We will be back tomorrow with Tell It All Tuesday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. Oh, and before I go, I do have an announcement. I will no longer until I get resettled. I will no longer be live as of Friday. So Friday will be my last live broadcast. Now, I will still post videos, whether they are short form, probably less than 10 minutes long. I will probably still do that. But as of Friday, I will no longer be airing my 7 to 9 a.m. live broadcast. Just going through a change, right? And how I'm going to bring out my content. But I just want to make that announcement. I'll also, announce it again on Friday that will be my final live broadcast. Again, I'll be doing shorts and I'll have videos that I'll drop from time to time on the network. I'll still do my interviews with different people and make sure that I keep the channel going, but I will not be airing live. So I just want to thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.